But and I'm also curious about Mr. What's his last name across the street? He's just now building a house. There is no house there yet. It was a house that was burned down, and they don't even live there yet. So I'm not sure what their issue is. But anyway, the protection buffer issue and a screen planting strip. They talk about protection in the residential districts to protect from the glare of lights, which was our number one thing after security.
Mr. Senek, Mr. Senek, because of time, can you summarize?
I'm summarizing. What I'm saying is all of the traffic that comes down Bayfront roads headed south, usually with their braking, were shining directly into our windows. And we measured it, and the 6-foot fence just blocks the level of the headlights at about 2 feet off the pavement from coming in our windows. And that is one of the requirements for the purpose of the ordinances is to protect from glare of lights, visual encroachment, and also reduce the transmission of noise. So we think that our current fence was built in honest attempt to follow the ordinance as written, that we wanted a protection buffer. When we moved into the house, and I'll just summarize this very quickly, the house had been looted 3 times during the renovation process. And when we moved in, that we wanted protection from burglaries and also people that were thought that our yard was McNally Park 24/7.
All right, Mr. Senek, hold on a second so I can see if the board has any questions for me.
Okay.
Any questions of the board for Mr. Senek?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Sir, I didn't have a chance to go out and look, but for my own benefit, let me ask you a couple questions. This fence is currently in place?
Yes, sir. It's been here. It was permitted, approved, and built with the city approval of the city of Mobile 4 years ago.
Okay.
But it was a replacement fence that was there since 1904.
Okay. So we can go quickly. Just answer my questions, please. And so this new fence, when is this based upon a repair after the storm?
Well, it was destroyed in Hurricane Katrina.
Okay, so, but it went up 4 years ago, and now so what has changed between now and 4 years ago, or however, 4 years ago, that has brought this to the forefront? That may be a staff question.
Apparently, it was a 311 call. Other than that, we've had dozens of people have come by, and all the neighbors, Mr. Denbo, and other people have stopped and came by and said they thanked us for removing what had become a very big problem with nighttime activity here in the neighborhood.
Okay, and what was there was a fence there prior? Was that a chain link fence?
No, it was a wooden fence, but it was part of it was destroyed completely. The other part was just aged.
And what was the height of that fence?
6 feet.
Okay, so basically what happened was you had an old dilapidated fence that you rebuilt after Katrina, 4 years ago when you had it permitted, and it went back in the same place. How far does that fence extend toward the bay?
Well, it's wood 6 feet up until about 90 feet before the bay.
No.
Then it decreases down to 4 feet, and then it was called a cattle guard fence, which is a 6-inch square wire fence, so it's open, if you
All
can
right, well,
imagine
hold on a second. Margaret, did you have a rebuttal to that?
No, I didn't, but staff has some information for you.
Okay.
no. So
Okay.
anyways, we
Well,
worked
hold
with,
Hold on,
Vicky.
Mr. Metcalf. Mr. Metcalf, did you have additional questions?
No, I thought that the staff was replying to what I had asked.
Okay, yeah. Staff?
I'm gonna let Bert address some of the issues. Bert, would you go ahead?
Okay. Looking at Google Street View right now, in 2007, there was no fence remaining at all along Terrell Road, thanks to Katrina. And moving forward through time on Google Street View, it remains unfenced until the current property owner obtained the fence permit. Now, the fence permit stated on it, I believe, that it would meet the 25-foot setback. So what happened is, that was 4 years ago. We received a 311 complaint. We went out to the site and investigated it over the last few months, and we found that the 6-foot-high fence is at either within the 25-foot setback or on the property line along Terrell Road.
And that's the one that's depicted on our site plan. The fence depiction says it's running across the property line inside the 25 feet.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. That was my
Can I make-
question.
Can I make a point? The point is that the part that was destroyed was the last 90 feet. The fence is 300 feet long. And the part that is about 80% of it is covered by trees. There were three large oak trees that hundreds of years old. And so 80% of the fence is behind a row of trees that can't be seen from the road. You can't see the fence from the road. And so the Google view from the street view, you can't even see the fence that was there. And you can't see it today. It's behind the trees. And that's why we're confused. I mean, how does it affect someone's vision when it's invisible to be seen from the road?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Part of it is.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Sedek, yeah, let me point of order.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman,
Yes,
Mr. Chairman, real quick, just so I can clarify, I did drive by there this morning and look at it. Can you state again what you're saying about it not being able to be seen? Because when I drove by today, seemed like you could see the fence clearly from Terrell Road all the way down, and then what you're explaining about the cattle guard fence then extends further out. So can you say that again? Because I may be misunderstood.
Well, I mean, how far do you think all the willow trees and growth occurs from the west edge of the property line all the way? Would you say that's about 80% is covered by trees and?
I can't speak to that, but I can tell you I drove down Terrell Road and I hit what I think was at maybe Park Road, which is maybe the corner right before, and then you have then your house, it looked like, and there was a fence that I could see, and there was a driveway with maybe a pickup truck that was in the driveway facing out towards Terrell Road, and a clearly visible fence that went all the way down. So.
Well, but what I'm saying is they're about, let's say 24 feet before that gate is a row of trees that obscure the fence. And then after the gate is heavy foliage for about another, let's say it's probably 150 feet. And so what we're talking about, I think, is near the end where Bayfront and Terrell make a 15-mile-an-hour, 90-degree turn. And at that corner, there is no foliage over the fence. You see the fence out by itself. Does that agree? You agree with that? Yeah.
That
That's
was
it.
not my recollection. I mean, my recollection was I could see a clearly visible fence for a pretty good run, but again, I may not have been looking at it as.
Well, the current picture shows the tree line I'm talking about. The fence this is just the last 100 feet of the fence, and then he's showing it where it drops down to 4 feet, and then you said what we call our see-through fence.
Go back. Can you go back the other way, Bert? Because
Yeah.
if you go up Terrell Road, so there was a second structure that was behind the house that looked like a newer, taller structure. And there is a clearing, I guess.
But see, as you feel, he's showing right now, that has regrown over. All of that is regrown, and you can't always see the fence through that. That was when we cleared it.
Can you go back, Bert, just a little bit further towards that
And
middle?
that's, by the way, that is, as you can see, that is 14 feet from the edge of the pavement.
Jeremy, are you wanting to go towards Dolphin Island Parkway?
Yeah, he's doing perfectly. That's what I just couldn't remember. Okay,
Thank
that's
you.
what I was thinking about right there. Was that opening?
If you look right here, Brenda Love's fence is right there, and our fence is lined up with their fence.
Okay.
It's the same distance. And here, this is all now covered in, and that's what I was talking about. That's Brenda Love's fence.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
It's been replaced with wood.
Bert, can you run back to where the fence comes completely visible back to the east?
Does that setback work right there? No,
Hold on, sir.
Margaret's doing the driving, by the way.
Oh, she's driving.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Now that is
Mr.
an old.
Mr. Senate.
picture.
Mr.
Okay,
Sen-
right there, Margaret. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. And is the Mr. Chairman? I did read some of the complaints. What in the staff's opinion, what is the primary difficulty that the neighbors have with this fence?
I would let the neighbors speak for themselves, and you have one that's in
We'll do it.
attendance as well as the correspondent. From the
Okay.
staff's perspective, it's a
Okay,
setback.
I didn't know we had them in. Okay, thank you.
Okay, All right.
Mr. Chairman, quick question for Bert. So this fence that we're looking at in this picture from November of 16 was permitted, but what, did I hear you say that it was stated that was would not be in the setback when they got a permit?
That's correct.
So, but it is in the setback.
That's correct.
And the the neighbor's fence to the west is chain link and much shorter.
But it's been
Well, it's
replaced by
also,
6
in
foot.
this case, the house
This is an old
behind them
picture.
doesn't face Terrell Road. It faces the road around the corner. So this is technically their side yard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I overshot.
So the property in question only has one road frontage.
That's correct.
all right. All right, any other questions for Mr.
Thank
Senate? Do we have Ms. Jackson available, or is she still busy with another call? Margaret?
I'm asking him to unmute, but he's not.
They
So-
both live at the same property.
Okay, well, my reason for asking is, do we have anyone else in support of this application that has information to add?
I have only admitted the one number, which was for both of them.
Okay. All right. Do we have somebody in opposition in the waiting room?
They're
Yes, you
in,
do.
and it's Miss Brenda Love.
Okay. All right, Miss Love, your address, please.
4120 Bayfront Road.
Okay, and where is that in relation? You're the direct adjacent
We're
neighbor?
the adjacent property to the rear that is a continuance of Bayfront Road. I back to the bay.
Okay, and your reason for opposition, please?
Can I read this since I am speaking for 20 homes that signed a petition?
If you'll keep it to your 5-minute time period, yes.
Well, I would appreciate 5 minutes total, yes, that would be good.
Okay,
The petitioners have asked that I speak as a voice for 20 households concerning their request. There is a fear of retribution for speaking out against these residents, but we have to face these issues. We feel privileged and we know we want to care for the Bay, but we've seen no evidence that they want to share this view with us. We've reviewed the documents of their request fully, and we know that they're requesting a variance of their home because of it not facing Bayfront, but that's their address. I back to the Bay, and I'm also Bayfront. We strongly oppose this request for zoning and beg that they clear the view of blocking fencing that they instituted 4 years ago. While initially surveying for the fence placement, more than one neighbor observed this man, Mr. Sack, who is not the property owner, moving the actual stakes for it was put in. Non-compliance with fencing goes all the way over to adjacent property on 2 other sides. Such actions lead us to believe that they did not confused with the verbiage, but they really possess a strong belief of entitlement. And maybe that's due to the fact that Miss Jackson is a 311 operator. The 6-foot fencing in question hides mountains of unsightly and potentially dangerous construction overages and debris off their property when they built a 30-foot tall barn with intended living space, cantilever decks, and call it a garage. And the recent hurricanes that we've had this year, I've observed and others have observed and watched with me that there has to be repair after each storm. The fencing's not going to hold with the onslaught of any storms that are greater wind ferocity. We've got more coming. And all of these piles of theirs that go across their property threaten to become blowing projectiles, piles of debris, wash into the bay, clog the road, and cause tremendous damage to our area and complicate the recovery. We found several falsehoods. There's nothing unusual about this roadway. It's a major pedestrian area, highly utilized as the city's bike path. Public access has been a way of life around here and is even paved as such so that others could pull off and get a bay view. But now these residents find it okay to verbally berate individuals attempting to utilize the area, and the same for neighbors attempting to clean up the area. They even have determined beyond whatever fencing we're talking about that they can throw rubble into the area to keep people from using this area. And even one neighbor with police protection to mow down the trash was told to leave. Their actions threaten the complete blockage of our water drainage from the neighborhood with any rains with this rubble. Now, we're a caring group of people, and they were before they got there, but we've heard this man say he lives in a malevolent neighborhood. Now, why would he choose to buy here? Driving over property, shooting fireworks, drunken behavior. Seems there would be multiple police reports of such aberrant behavior. We don't find that. And if we could just get these down, the emails and signatures would stand for something to remove the junk that is totally covering this property. We ask for zoning to go to the 3-foot fencing, and we would love the 3-foot fencing to be open fencing of some kind so that wind flow from the bay would be okay, and that the junk enclosed could be visible if you're regulating zoning, and we would feel much safer. Besides, they have 3 Doberman guard dogs that repeatedly escape even the 6-foot fencing. They've placed cyclists on the bike path, biting and tearing their clothing. They've bitten neighborhood residents and our pets. Every bite's required medical attention. And now there's even an upcoming court hearing on the latest attack. He has such a quiet and calm voice for you. I'm surprised. It's obvious that that's inadequate fencing, and the animals or the fencing needs to be greatly changed from roadway and property line standoff. This is 20 homes united together and asking if we have a 2-minute rebuttal that we only hear from the sole property owner, Miss Jackson. And thank you for your time and letting us speak today.
Ms. Love, I have 3 questions for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, on the current site plan that we see an asphalt drive.
Yes.
Has that been there for the length of time that you have been?
There was a very demolished asphalt drive because it was Nancy's restaurant. And they have moved it to closer to the roadside and up to the fence line and the present fence line. And I don't know how far it extends to the south,
Okay.
toward their home.
So since they have taken possession of the property, they've improved it and moved it.
Yes, they've added the drive and they moved the fencing to the very edge of public paved access. So, and they pile things there and grow cactus there so no one can actually use the access to view the bay.
Ms. Love, for sake of time, I got to keep you to respond to my questions. Okay, there's an existing fence on your property. How far is it in line with the fence they put up?
They did come back with the fencing. I'm not sure. We've never had a survey done. If whether it's all right straight along the open agricultural and mixture of 6-foot fencing. I don't know if it's actually on our property line or if it's actually at the recess point.
No, my question is, you have an existing fence, right?
I have a chain link along the route where the bike path.
Okay, and is your fence in line with any of the fencing they have put up?
Yes. Yes, the gate to our backyard is in line. Yes, it is.
Okay.
But they have extended their fencing to in front to be right along the side of the house, and they even have agri fence going all the way to the bay beyond where, to their bulkhead.
Ms. Love, I'm trying to get specific answers. In the previous fence, they had a fence up when it was Nancy or a restaurant before, right?
No, there was no fence there.
Okay, there was no previous fence. Okay.
Right. They built it in 2016.
Okay. All right. Any other questions of the board for Ms. Love? Any questions of the board for Ms. Love? All right, thank you. Anyone else in opposition today, Margaret?
No, sir.
Okay, and for the record, I see Mr. Burrows has joined us. We have all 7 members present at this time now.
And he joined during Mr. Sinak's presentation.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Sinek, you get 2-minute rebuttal. You have anything to say in response? Since you're the only applicant representative present today.
He's still in the meeting, and I've asked to unmute, but it's still muted.
All right. Mr. Sinek, if you'll unmute, do you have anything to say in response to the 2-minute limitation? He's still muted.
I'm trying to click.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, now I hear. Okay.
Mr. Sinak, if
Yes.
you're listening to the live stream, you need to turn it off. It's creating feedback.
I see. Okay.
Thank you.
How's that?
Much
Better.
better.
Much better. Okay. Um, as a 66-year-old retired medical professional, I spent my entire life taking care of people.
You're a security guard.
I'm a security guard now.
All right.
I spent
Who else
35
is
years as a reconstructive surgeon. I spent 10 years as a mission surgeon. And I don't have a mean bone in my body. I don't drink. The accusations were wild and unbalanced. I'll say that. The accumulation of complaints. I'm surprised that the Kinney, you said the Kinneys, their house hasn't even been built. I don't know how that's can work, but what you've been told is a couple of misinformation facts. The person that sold this property to us had a restaurant here for something like 40 years, and it was 15 years or 10 years since Katrina, and he lost the which called the commercial designation that the restaurant was on, and we recombined it with the house, the property. We recombined it with the house property. That house had been here since 1904. So he's the one that helped us rebuild the fence, and he was here many years before Miss Love moved here from Colorado. And so she only moved in a year before we did. So she has no idea if there was any fence here before. That is a total misstatement. The owner showed us where the fence was, and we used some of the same fence post holes. That's just misinformation. The next thing is that the day we moved in, Miss Love, who feeds feral cats in the neighborhood, told us that we could not have dogs. At that point, we told her we had dogs and we were going to build a dog fence. We cooperated with her and put in see-through fence to not obstruct her view of the bay.
Mr. Senek, your time is up.
Okay, well, can I just say that we worked with all the neighbors to construct the fence according to what they wanted at the time. Some issues occurred where they did not build dog fences, so their dogs run loose.
All right.
And that is the Miss Love's issue about her cats.
Okay. I have to close your response.
Okay.
At this time. We have to be consistent with our time
I understand.
All right. Any questions?
Now I do have.
Mr. Senek?
Yes.
I have to close the time. I apologize. All right. Any questions of the board for Mr. Senek after his response? Okay. And
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
I've got a question for staff. Absence of the variance being granted, the fence would be required to be moved back to the 25-foot setback line, which would be, I guess, on the other side of the asphalt driveway, right at the edge of that concrete pad or whatever that is.
Roughly right in here. And Bert will correct me if I misspeak. The site plan submitted, I don't believe a survey was done to precisely locate the fence. This is an estimate.
Okay.
As you saw from the Google Street View and from writing down there, the fence itself is right on the edge of the ditch, and the ditch is part of the public right-of-way. So the fence currently is right on the property line. Without a variance, yes, it would have to be set back 25 feet. The base information here is pretty accurate as far as that was surveyed, and this would be the approximate location where a fence would have to go.
And question, can you build a 3-foot fence in the setback?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I build a 3-foot terrace? Can I build a 3-foot?
Who's speaking, Margaret?
I'm Paul
Here's
Sinek,
the
sorry.
applicant.
You're not, sir, you're not allowed to speak at this time.
Oh,
I think
sorry.
we need to, because we're at a
I
point where we're
apologize.
having discussions. Can you mute any of those that are in attendance?
Done.
All right. Do we know where the previous access and driveway was for this property? If it's been moved?
I could possibly have the rezoning file pulled from our storage that may show the location of the fence when the property was rezoned. I believe prior to Katrina. Bert, am I in the correct time period?
Well, I have the aerial from 1997 up on my computer. And other than a small hedgerow 3/4 of the way back from the bay, it looks like that it may be almost an entirely open frontage along Terrell Road. And then a fence may have been put in place around 2002, and that looks like when the bulb cypresses were planted.
This is 2011, if you're able to see.
It looked like there might have been a little bit of a chain link fence in that row as you zoomed down.
Yeah.
Probably within the last 4 feet of it appeared to be a little bit of an existing chain link or some form of open fencing. It's kind of hard to tell with the vegetation.
Yeah. And I believe this is a driveway for the property as well.
But the vegetation's been there for some time, so.
Okay, this is a rear drive to the site here.
Okay.
And the rezoning took place in 1999.
If you look at the left side of that drive, it looks like there's a column or something, or maybe some kind of.
Yes.
That, yes, that.
Trash can.
Trash can? Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I think just a couple thoughts. One, I think there's no going to Mr. Senek's contention that this is the side yard. I think is not the case. I think it is definitely the front yard. But I have one concern is that how did, from a staff standpoint or permitting, how did he get a permit to build a 6-foot fence? Obviously, he didn't put it behind the setback, but how did he get a fence permit for a 6-foot fence on the front yard?
It was approved conditional to setbacks.
No. I know that, but why was a 6-foot approved no matter where? Obviously, it was approved subject to setback, but why would a 6-foot fence have been approved on the frontage?
It wasn't. It was to be set back 25 feet from the property.
No. I understand, Margaret, but it still runs along Bayfront Road.
Mhm.
That's his front yard.
Mr. Metcalf, there's nothing in the ordinance that prevents the construction of a 6-foot high fence once you've gotten back 25 feet from your front property line.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So to correct me, even if it's on the frontage, you can do it behind that.
That's correct.
Okay, I thought we were saying that on the frontage, all you could do is a 3-foot fence.
No, oh, no.
Yeah, help me. So 3 feet, if it's in front of the setback, you can do a 6 foot if it's behind it. Okay,
Yes.
so he got a permit to build something that was legal and permittable, but he didn't do it in the right place.
Correct.
Okay, all right, just boiling it down to the nuts.
All right. Any other questions for staff? Okay. Further discussion of the board?
Yeah, I
Okay.
got it.
Who's that?
Now, where are we saying that the front of the property is on Bayfront, right? Not Terrell.
Well,
That-
yeah,
The front of the property is on Terrell, on Bayfront rather, which is up to the
Bayfront essentially dead ends into or jogs into the property. Bayfront does this.
I understand. So where is the front of the property? Is it on Bayfront or on Terrell Road?
I believe at this point, Bert, speak up, this is still Bayfront.
Well, how can it be Bayfront if the name of the road is Terrell?
Because Bayfront jogs, kind of like how Westwood and Homewood and some of
Yeah,
those streets,
But where does Terrell Road stop and begin?
I would say at Bayfront
What
Here.
part of Bayfront?
here.
This creates a problem. I mean, I can understand this problem because he's saying that he's paying attention to the road, and the road is not in the way you think it would be in terms of the frontage of his property.
Well, the address is 4170 Bayfront Road.
Correct.
So what's the last address on Bayfront on this side? On the side that where before it begins to jog.
Bert, can you speak up?
Yes, let me look. Hold on one second here.
Okay.
Okay. On the north side of what's labeled as Terrell Road,
Right.
the corner lot at the corner of Bayfront and Terrell
Yes,
has a Bayfront address.
yes.
And then the next two properties to the west of it
Right.
have Terrell Road addresses. So it appears that the way Bayfront stops at Terrell Road, it becomes Terrell Road, and then Bayfront resumes going further down to the park.
So in essence, the fence isn't on Bayfront, it's on Terrell Road.
You know, I think the western boundary of his property is the end of Bayfront.
I pulled up a different sketch, but this property here has a Bayfront address, as does this property here.
And then,
I
and
can
then the,
understand that because this property, Bayfront is right here. I can understand that. And I understand that his property has a Bayfront address, but it should be, the number should be, the sequence should break when Terrell Road comes into it. There should be a big break between the last house on Bayfront to the north and the first house on the Bayfront to the south. That
All
break address.
all right, well, I think we need to get back to the basics of the
I
application.
didn't understand it, Mr. Chair.
Yes. I'm not trying to say anything otherwise, Mr. Coleman. All I'm saying is that,
This is Doug. If I could ask this or add this, the site plan that's on the screen now, where you see Terrell Road,
Right.
whether you call it Terrell Road or Bayfront Road, that is from the staff's position, that is the frontage street. Is that correct, Margaret?
Yes,
Thank you.
That's the frontage for his house.
Yes, sir.
correct.
As
because
far as our
that's-
zoning ordinance and our regulations as stated in the staff report, that is the front of the house.
And that's where his mailing address would be, correct?
Correct.
That's where his mailbox and his entrance. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments of the board? All right. The applicant tried to stress that his hardship was what the frontage was for the property. We've had quite a bit of discussion on that. The neighbor setback with any existing fence, and then the issue with vehicle lights as they come down Bayfront and then shining onto the property. I don't think I heard any other hardships associated with the property. Did any of the board members hear of anything?
No, sir.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, can I, real quick, just a point of clarification. So as far as this application is concerned, there are potentially two options. One being if the application is flat out denied, then that fence has to be moved back behind the 25-foot setback and you can build a 6-foot privacy fence as long as it's behind that. Or if it is built within the setback, it has to be 3 feet. Correct?
That's the zoning ordinance requirement, yes.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion of the board? All right. Chair entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move to deny the application.
I have a motion to deny. Do I have a second?
Have a second.
All right, you have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Application is denied. All right, Margaret, we'll give you time to clear the waiting room and then move to the final application, 6350.
Okay, I have moved everyone back into the waiting room. The last application, the applicant, Ms. Pate, has asked for this application to be held over until the November 2nd meeting.
Okay, and do we have anyone in the waiting room either for or in opposition?
We have no one in attendance, in opposition, or support.
Okay, did we receive any correspondence regarding this application?
No, sir.
Okay. All right.
Can I ask a question, Margaret, about that application? With
Yes.
this application, I know we heard one, felt like similar to this, maybe within the last year or so.
Yes.
Would this be similar to that, or would there be any different?
It is similar. And I'm looking because, yes, I had printed this out. We've had a couple of applications, and with COVID, you know, childcare is really becoming an issue and concern. So we asked for some additional information from DHR, the state licensing agency, but we also contacted the fire department, which, as you may recall, prior applications for more than 5 children approved by the board still have to comply with fire code. There's a lot of code requirements. And what we can do is we can incorporate that into our report on the holdover.
Okay.
Even if you're not a quote commercial daycare, 5 or more persons, they're required to be sprinkled, have a fire hydrant. There's a lot of, and if you don't have a sprinkler system, everything has to be on one level with direct access from each room to the exterior.
Okay.
So the board approving a variance for having more than 5 children still has a lot of other issues.
That was my recollection, and that's why I was wondering, because it seemed like that, although we could, potentially approve it, there were a number of other things that they were going to comply with that are outside of our control.
That's correct. The other thing is, and we'll go ahead and have it ready for the November meeting as well. DHR has additional requirements regarding the number of staff and the number of people that are on standby. So.
Okay, thank you.
We'll have that ready for you.
Okay, any other questions for staff? Was this an existing that's expanding, or is it a new applicant or new license?
I believe it's an expansion of an existing home daycare.
Okay. All right. The applicants requested a holdover. We have no one in the waiting room either in favor or opposition. Staff's recommending. Okay. Chair, entertain a motion, holdover.
So, Mr. Chairman.
A motion holdover. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. For the record, do we have any other business?
No, sir.
Mr. Anderson?
No, sir.
All right. Chair, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
I have a motion. Everyone in agreement, say aye. Aye. See you next month.
Thanks,
Margaret and Bert.
You,
Thank you.
y'all.
Thank y'all.
Take care.
Margaret, can you hear me?